So we do life with two legs, but we do it on one leg at a time. And that's really important for any training principles, especially specific to running. We really want to make sure that we are equal on both sides, that we don't have the tendency to drop our body or let our hips come out or let our knees drop in. So some simple things that we do in the clinic or you can do at home to test is just stand on one leg. What happens? Do you get all these wobbles and shakes? Does your body lean over? Does your hip drop out? Does the knee come in? So you really want to make sure tummy stays tight, chest stays lifted, and that you're standing with a nice solid position. If that goes okay, then maybe start moving your arms around. Because how are you supposed to run if you can't even stand on one leg without letting the body kind of go into some of these funny faults? If the hands go okay, keep the hands still and maybe move the legs. And if that goes well, incorporate the whole running stride together. One of my favorite things is those RDLs, or the single leg deadlifts, the Romanian deadlifts, where you're working in that upper kind of 15 to 20 degree knee bend range, because that's truly where we run through. We run with a little bit of a bent knee when we're absorbing the force. We want to make sure that hamstrings, butt, and kind of full core is firing at the right time. So the way I like to really force to make sure that our form is solid, use a broomstick, a hockey stick, anything you have at home. Head, shoulder blades, and butt are your 3 points of contact. So my hands in my lower back, my hands in the kind of the crook of my neck. You keep that chest lifted, keep the tummy tight, and you're just gonna tip as far forward as you can keep all 3 points of contact and then come back up. Your goal is to get as far down as you can with keeping all 3 points of contact, because we know that's coming all posterior chain, butt, hamstrings, kind of back to keep ourselves up, but we're not compromising the form through the lower back or the upper back. But if our neck or head or butt came off, then you come back up, reset, and get through. And then again, test both sides, make sure one side's just as strong as the other. Now the single leg squat is a really important one. I know I just got done saying we don't train or we don't run down in that range, but it's still a great glute, core, lower extremity strength balance exercise, and it's one that's super easy and portable. We can do it anywhere we are. So standing on one leg, keep that tummy tight, keep that chest up, kind of athletic with everything we train and do. And you're just gonna go down to the range that's nice and controlled and back up. You really wanna think about that butt goes back. You should be able to kind of wiggle your toes. It's not all your weight in your heels, but a lot of times we'll come down into a single leg squat and come forward where the ball of our foot is really the big stance on that. So really make sure that you keep nice and strong. If you keep falling or the knee drops in, put one leg down just as a kickstand so that you can keep your control and come back up until you have the strength on one side and the other to do it. Now I'm going to show you two on the ground. I love standing exercises because I think they transfer over really nicely into the sport at hand. Sometimes we need a variation, sometimes we're a little sore, we have an injury we're nursing, and the floor provides a really nice opportunity and can transfer over really nicely in some of the exercises. The first one is your bridge march. So a lot of us are used to the traditional two-legged bridge or a single leg bridge, but the bridge march, I'm going to kind of argue that's a really nice running one, because if you stand with one leg and the hip drops out, well, that's going to be comparable to standing and doing that. Well, when we're on the ground and when you lift one knee up, if you let the hip drop down, then that can be where we really need to focus on that glute core coordination, because a lot of times it's a strength issue, but it's also how the muscles fire together that we're changing. So you come down onto your back, your knees are bent up, and then you're going to lift your hips up towards the ceiling, press through the heels, keep the tummy nice and tight. Easier version is with your arms down. A little bit harder is with your arms across your chest. You're going to lift one leg up. Now, if the hip drops down like I was telling you, that's kind of comparable to when you're in that single leg stance. So you really want to make sure everything's nice and tight, and then switch to the other side. And just move back and forth through that. Second one is your side plank leg lift. You're going to have your knees bent and in the same line as your elbow. You're going to lift your hip up towards the ceiling, straighten your top leg, and you're going to lift and lower the top leg. Belly button stays forward. You're not throwing that leg up or letting that hip drop down as you lift the leg. So right, tummy stays tight, hips are forward, up and down. Wrong is when your toes face the ceiling, or you drop that hip down, you let your shoulders come forward. So staying nice and strong, making sure kind of oblique hip complex works together. We're working this side body so that we can stay nice and strong in standing.